Hey guys, so we're at the farms. Um, Someone was nice enough to put up this like FAQ about Chris and the jail situation, stuff like that. So it's pretty lengthy. Um, so basically, he's just answering questions that have been asked and all that. So the main one: when is Chris's next court date? July 28th, 2022. So we've got quite a while before the next one. That's what, 5 months away. So next court date apparently July 28th. So Chris is going to trial on July 28th. Probably not, for numerous reasons explained below. It's probably just a procedural hearing. So really, it's like, yeah, it's nothing major. Is Chris in prison right now? Chris is not in prison. Chris is in jail. Big difference. Aren't jail and prison the same thing? Are they different? Just describes the difference between a prison and a jail. So why is Chris in jail instead of prison? I thought he was facing serious charges. Chris is not yet convicted of anything. Chris is being held without bail, waiting for a resolution to his case. No matter what you are charged with, if you are not out on bail, you will be held in jail until you are actually convicted. At which point you will be released, sent to finish the sentence in jail, or finish it in prison. Also, note, by the way, it's like Chris's birthday. It was like the other day, or he's 40 now. Why is Chris being held without bail? Do they think he's a greater danger to the community? While we don't know all the details, a journalist documented the prosecutor as specifically citing Weens as being a danger to Chris in the community, and thus Chris is being kept in jail mostly for his own protection and probably for the sanity of the community. Oh God. I heard that because Chris is a trans woman, he will be placed in a women's jail. Will he other inmates? Virginia places inmates based on their genitalia, not their gender identification. While Chris is treated as a woman in legal proceedings outside of jail, he is booked in jail as a man. Small communities usually can't afford to separate men's and women's jails. Central Virginia Regional Jail does have a small women's unit, but Chris is not in it. Will Chris get free sex reassignment in jail on the taxpayer's dime? No, not in jail. They don't provide major health care in jail unless the inmate's life is in immediate danger. So, I mean, I don't know why they would do gender reassignment in jail anyway. That's not something I see as a major concern for them. It's like you're in jail for a reason. We're not going to treat you to your to sex reassignment while you're in jail. That's stupid. But yeah, I seriously doubt that they would do that. Also, bidet. I hear Chris that has a standard bidet in his cell. Does he? Bidet is just kind of like toilet type thing where it's like a combo, I think, of like a toilet sink area type of thing. Bidets are not normal for a jail cell. What is common, however, and extremely okay. Actually, bidet. All right, so definition: a low oval basin used for washing one's genital and anal area. So, bidet, plumbing fixture or type of sink intended for washing the genitalia and anus of the human body. Actually, doesn't Japan have those type of things where like you're done and they just like blast you with water? I don't, maybe. But anyways, Yeah, bidet. What is common, however, are extremely sturdy steel toilet sink combination units where the sink is built into the top of the toilet tank assembly. It is a speculation that this means that Chris is sitting on top of the sink and using it to wash his anus and buttocks after defecating, thus effectively repurposing it as a bidet. Is Chris going to be stuff that YouTube doesn't like? Almost certainly not. Inmates who are at risk for various reasons are usually kept separated from others. In Chris's case, his claims of transgender identity, obvious mental illness, and irrational behavior, more or less guaranteed that he would be recognized as needing such protection. From Chris's own letters, this is what is happening, and he does not have much contact with other people other than the jail staff. Chris does not have a cellmate. I've seen some crazy letters, so Chris can send and receive mail. Yeah, I mean, just because they're in jail, I mean, they're still, they still are entitled to things like mail and stuff like that. He can receive money. Doesn't the jail read Chris's letters? Chris still has a nominal right to privacy in his mail, exactly, especially as he has not been convicted yet. Virginia's policy for inmate mail is that it should not be read except for practical security reasons to keep the facility and inmates safe. So basically, unless they have a reason to open his mail and read it, he's not apparently not giving them much of a reason to have to read it. So unless he starts making threats like, making things go boom, or threatening the lives, then yeah, they're not going to read it. Can Chris make phone calls? We already know he can. Does Chris have TV, video games, and jail cell? Chris has a small FM radio. There's a TV in the common area, but Chris is generally not allowed to access that area for his own protection. Jails, being short-term facilities, usually don't allow inmates to have larger personal electronics since they would cause logistical issues. Thus, personal television and video game consoles are mostly the domain of prison. In recent years, many jails have started issuing tablets running a heavy lockdown version of Android to inmates. Both to allow them to purchase games and send expensive emails through a limited mail gateway. How is Chris affording this? Weens are sending money to his commissary account so he can purchase ramen, Fanta, prayer rugs, art supplies, etc. It is possible that he is having money transferred to his from his tugboat, and Chris is just begging for more. But that would still be a lot of money for a commissary. So it is speculated that his only source of money right now is Weens. Yeah. I mean, every letter we've read so far, he basically does the same thing. He'll talk about, I'm the Jesus Lord Messiah. Please send me money. So, I mean, I can't imagine the stuff in the commissary is very expensive. You got to remember, these are inmates. They're not exactly Mr. Moneybags. So I'm assuming the things in here, considering it is stuff like ramen, Fanta, stuff like that, reasonable. I mean, you go out to the store and look how much ramen you can get for $1. So reasonably priced goods. So there's no reason for Chris to constantly beg for money unless he's just, constantly eating and drinking. I mean, we all know what he likes to do with Fanta. So, I mean, I'm sure he goes through Fanta like crazy. But again, it's a soda, and it's probably reasonably priced. It's like I said, they're inmates. They're not Mr. Moneybags. They're not. If they get out, it's not like they're going to homes with fucking golden toilets, So it's gonna be not going to be pricey for them. Can I send Chris money? Like, don't send Chris money. That said, we who want to can send it via UPS postal money order, no other kind, to the jail. I'm not going to post instructions as I don't want to encourage feeding Chris's junk food. Chris is in the bakehouse. Is he going to come out buff ripped? Almost certainly not. First of all, Chris is in jail. There's not much in the way of exercise facilities. The big house is prison, which often has such facilities. Chris, however, is lazy. He is also mostly confined to his cell for his own protection, so he doesn't piss off other inmates. It is unlikely that he's getting much exercise. Chris claims to have lost weight in jail. This is possible as he can no longer purchase large amounts of fast food. He is instead eating jail food, which while bland, is also somewhat of a balanced diet. He is also supplementing it with ramen and such from the jail commissary. Many people gain weight in jail prison. This, however, is often because they have reduced physical activity there versus their normal life. Chris has almost no physical activity to begin with, so this is not a factor. The general consensus is that Chris will come out of jail still fat, though possibly slightly thinner. What court is Chris's case in? Why am I being stopped from going to watch? Can I read? Blah, blah, blah. Chris's case is in the Greene County Juvenile and Domestic Relations District Court, or J&DR Court for short. So, yeah, this is not stuff we're going to be able to... I heard Chris stamped his feet and shouted in court. Will he be freaking out? Will he be freaking out all the time? I wish I could see it. Chris did indeed make a bit of a show at his arraignment. Time for your arraignment. The only hearing of his in J&DR that was open to the public. He demanded that he be allowed to go retrieve his toys, presumably the newly purchased ones he left in his hotel room. He also shouted about how he was famous on the internet. Fortunately for the court's sanity, Chris does not actually have to be present at most hearings. It is speculation, but there are also likely not including him there including him there for most of them. Technically, on a misdemeanor in Virginia, Chris does not have to be present at all in court. That said, plea agreements often require the guilty plea to be entered in person to ensure that the defendant is confirming his understanding of the agreement to the judge. Chris will thus probably be present for his final hearing. Either way, we will probably never see his behavior, and it will not be transcribed or recorded, as J&DR Court does not do that. I'm famous! Famous, I tell you! Why would Chris be in a court that for adults only normally handles small crimes? This is only speculated as we have no information on the reason for the transfer. That said, a Class 5 felony prosecuted as a misdemeanor is at the absolute top range of what the J&DR court is allowed to handle, as it can be prosecuted as a misdemeanor. And was between family, it still qualifies for domestic relations court. I mean, that's true. Likely reasons they have been speculated include protecting the proceedings from witnesses, reducing press coverage about something that's potentially embarrassing to Greene County, and not exposing an elderly lady to further shame. It also gives breathing room where a plea deal can be done entirely within the realm of a misdemeanor charge, rather than having to be publicly negotiated down from a felony. Yeah, I mean, people can say what they will about Barb, but she's been through enough. You can say, oh, she sucked as a parent, she was this and that. It still doesn't, justify what happened. Like, who cares if she was a bad parent? He was still taken care of. So to say, oh, well, she got what she deserved, and I hope this and that. I certainly hope something never bad happens, really ever bad happens to your guys' parents. I'm like, what would you say then? Like, what if you had a bad childhood and your mom wasn't really the best? Do you still wish for her to get sexually assaulted? Or I mean, come on. Do you understand how fucking stupid that sounds? Oh, she's a bad parent. She got what she deserved. I heard that is a class 5 felony. Doesn't that mean Chris is charged with a felony? With your own parent is indeed a class 5 felony under Virginia Code. However, it is important to understand what a class 5 felony is. In many jurisdictions, including Virginia, crimes and their respective punishments are classified under a shorthand system where instead of having to assign individual penalties for each crime, they can assign it as a classification instead. And all crimes which that classification carry the same penalties. Different states use letters, numbers, etc., and some don't use classification system at all. All right. So, does that mean Chris? Yeah, I mean that's kind of what he just said. I heard that Chris isn't a felony. That is a felony, but Chris is not charged with, at least not yet. This is for 2 reasons. First, blank is a lot harder to prove than the other word. For other word, the prosecution must only prove that the event occurred. To prosecute the other word that YouTube doesn't like, they must prove that Barb refused consent. Chris has admitted that Barb at one point refused consent, but he actually did not clarify that the intercourse occurred at the time she refused. Also, Chris also indicated that Barb eventually consented. I don't think she consented, since he did not provide a time frame for when the activity occurred in relation to the denial and granting of consent. It is in no way evidence that Chris had sex with Barb when consent was refused. If Barb does not indicate that consent was refused in a disposition, hang on. Thought I heard something outside the window. Deposition or testimony, then there is essentially no evidence that occurred. I'm still looking out for Venti. Still hasn't come back. It's like the second day now. Second, as will be explained in another answer, blank is very serious charge, and given the poor evidence, the defense would absolutely not accept a charge as part of a plea deal, thus forcing the case into going to trial. But Barb is senile. Doesn't that make it blank because she can't consent? For an adult to be considered unable to consent, they must be considered physically or mentally incapacitated. Physical incapacitated. I just cannot fucking speak right now. Physical incapacitation would be if Barb was unconscious. I really wouldn't be too surprised. It's okay, Barb. It'll all be over soon. Or so paralyzed that she had no vocal or physical means to refuse consent. We know of no evidence of this yet, unless Chris writes about it. Mental incapacitation does not mean demented or slow in the mind. It means that she was so mentally incapable that she had no idea what was happening or what the consequences would be. Simply making bad decisions because your mind is impaired does not mean that you are incapacitated. The bar for being adjudicated as mentally incapacitated outside of temporary incapacity due to drugs or alcohol is extremely high. If Bob were still alive and having sex with Barb, the level of that's just no. The level of mental incapacitation to charge Barb with Bob with raping Bob with Barb is exactly the same as it is for having with Chris. So This is taking forever. So why so many continuances? Doesn't Chris have a right to speedy trial? Yes, unfortunately. Chris has a right to a speedy trial, but he does not have the right to exercise that right. He also doesn't exercise at all. So the continuances are at the request of the defense, thus the right to a speedy trial does not apply. Isn't it weird that there's so many continuances? Is Chris getting special treatment with this? Not at all. Not at all, boy. Plenty of cases take up to a year to complete for a variety of reasons. Cases usually only end quickly when the stakes are so low that there's no point in dragging it out. Or when the prosecution has made a critical error and the defense wishes to end the situation in their favor as fast as possible. High stakes cases where a person's life is on the line can take multiple years to complete. Are they spending this time having Chris demonstrate his insanity so he can be found not guilty by reason of insanity? No, absolutely not. Yeah, Hollywood pop culture loves the insanity defense for some reason. Yeah, they really do. Can Chris still use the fact that he is autistic target in his defense? Yes, due to a very recent statute, Chris's attorney is allowed to present his condition as a mitigating factor. Which, that's what's going to happen. They're going to play the he's autistic card. And they're just going to be like, now you don't go be having sex with your mom again now. And he's just going to walk home. And then he's going to find out the Sanachu temple has been desecrated and destroyed. And then he's going to start stomping his feet and all that crap. And then the merge is going to happen. However, get out of her free tart cards. Evidence, however, might not be helpful in determining guilt. In a case where intent is not an issue, it would be definitely help in presenting a more sympathetic viewpoint to the court. Well, he had sex with his mother, but he's autistic. Does Chris get credit for all the time he's spending in jail? How much does it count for? A day in jail is a day in jail. I mean, pretty self-explanatory there. But if at his next hearing, if he just gets off on time served, does that mean he got off scot-free? Only if you consider spending a year in jail, losing your home, and possibly never seeing your mother again scot-free. But hey, at least he'd be able to go out and buy more toys. I mean, because that's what Chris cares about, the fucking toys and his stuff. And that's what I think about that. So Chris gets the charges dropped via deferred judgment, or if they just drop the charges, or if he's found not guilty, does the state have to pay Chris because they kept an innocent man in jail? No, they had probable cause for his crime. Chris wants to be pardoned by Biden. Could he play the Troon card and make that happen? Biden is the president of the United States. Are you sure about that? He can only pardon people on federal crimes. Chris is charged with a crime by Commonwealth of Virginia, so basically no. Still, Chris's case has received so many continuances. How long can they continue the case legally? As long as the defense doesn't demand a speedy trial, forever. So we're finally going to get the ending to this in 2035 is when it's going to finally end. So they can just keep Chris in jail forever. Yes. No, they can't. No, they can only keep Chris in jail up to the length of the maximum sentence of the crime Chris is charged with. So, I mean, as much as we would like to see that and have Chris in, jail, it's not going to happen like that. It's not going to be like, you're sentenced for the rest of your life. You're going to be in there. When Chris was first arrested, they mentioned potential further charges. What would they be? Has he received further charges? To the best of our knowledge, Chris has only been charged with blank. He could have been arraigned on further charges in closed hearings, but we can only speculate about that. However, based on what we do know, there are charges that Chris could potentially be facing. Stuff by persons forbidden to marriage with own mother, class 5 felony. Crimes against nature with own mother, class 5 felony. Violation of protected orders without threat of violence, class 1 misdemeanor. We believe he is not currently charged with this, as it is a hard felony and cannot be brought in JNDR court as a misdemeanor. And then blank, not a classified felony, instead has specific sentence of 5 years to life. Wow, there's still a lot. So that's a lot of it. I'll leave this below in case you guys want to take a look, but I mean, the biggest thing is that it's July 28th is his next court date. But I'm autistic and I'm literally Jesus. My mother, Emmanuel, is going to be very angry about this. Say ha me ha. Oh my god, I would love that so fucking much. I would love to be a fly on the wall if he tried to do that shit in court. Like, the fucking judge says to Chris about having anything to say for himself. Or he's like, yes, I do. Say ha me ha. And everyone's like, the judge is like, get this fucking shit out of here. Oh god, that would, that'd be beautiful. Beautiful. Anyways. God, Chris. Oh, Chris. Chris. You guys know the drill. I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.